Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Excited to be here with you today. Thank you for joining me. We are going to be breaking down the funny thing about doing hard things. So one of the greatest ironies, I think, in our life is that probably all of the technology that we've actually been able to develop that have made our lives so much richer in so many different ways are now holding us back from being able to achieve our life's purpose and what we were actually sent here and meant to do. So what I want to share with you right now is that much of the time when you are not where you're supposed to be in life, where you believe that you should be, where you feel that your purpose is, your passion is, the life that you were meant to live, one of the reasons why you're not there is actually because it is human nature to take the path of least resistance. So this means that when you have the opportunity to do the easier thing, your mind and your body, meaning your body is your nervous system, it says, choose that. Choose the less movement, choose the less thinking. That is our body trying to conserve energy. So one of the greatest capacities the human body has in the mind is the ability to rationalize. So for millions of years, we've been trying to stay alive, right? That was the whole thing. So it's like, where could you find food? Where could you find shelter? And then like how little movement could you do, right? So it's basically like the more movement you did, the more calories you needed in order to survive. So if you watch a lot of indigenous-based documentaries and tribes and showing people, it's like they walked, but they didn't do a lot of running, right? Because it was conserving energy, because they didn't know what they were going to find for food that day. They didn't. So they walked a lot of steps. There's no doubt about that. But that was the steps that they needed in order to be able to hunt, in order to be able to gather. Like that was the thing. So it was the path of least resistance because that's what's kept us alive. So that's built into that limbic part of the brain, right? Like don't do more than you have to because this is survival based. But now we know, well, most of us, especially those listening to this podcast, have the ability pretty much on tap to be able to grab food like within a 10-minute drive, 20-minute drive maximum. You pretty much have your food, your water, your shelter, a lot of those things on Maslow's hierarchy of needs taken care of. So the problem is like it's not about food for many people. It's not about shelter for many people. And so we've risen above those two. Okay, but the problem is we've gotten used to now all of this technology, which has made our lives a whole lot easier. We get our food delivered a lot of the time. We have a car to take us around. We've got escalators, to take us upstairs instead of actually walking up the stairs. And the issue is we now have less movement, right? We have less food prep. Like we don't need to cook maybe as many elaborate meals because what? Well, we could easily just have it to go. We can have it already prepped and made for us, which takes what? Less time. And oftentimes it's even less expensive. Like we have meal delivery services. And I'm actually not saying that any of this is bad. I don't want to say that at all. I just want to preface where I'm going with this with, we have less time outside, less actual work to do, like less physical work is what I mean. I know that we're probably using our brains a lot more, but what happens is that oftentimes there's less manual labor, there's less actual physical work. So unless we're replicating that through an actual workout or exercise, we're not actually as physically active, which means what? We're demanding less of our body, which also means that we're doing less hard things. We're not doing as hard a physical activity. We're not doing the hard work of gathering our food, of hunting our food. We're not doing the hard work of actually having to prep as much of those meals. And again, not saying that all of this is a bad thing. I'm not, because it's allowed us to have a little bit more leisure time, which actually might mean now more quality relationships with friends, with family, our loved ones, and being able to explore now more of our passions. Like, there's no doubt about it. But here's the irony now. Like, this is the irony. So we have more time to be able to hopefully explore those things that would give our life more meaning. And again, I know that there's a time and place for all of this. I don't think that I could. Now, I was always moving in that direction because it's a part of me. I always known it's a part of me since I got sick in my teenage years. But I wasn't able to do the things that I'm able to do today in my teenage years or in my 20s. I just wasn't. And even so in my earlier 30s. So what happened was that I was moving in that direction. I was trying to move in that direction. And there's some universal things that I found in my life, but I never like to say like, oh, well, maybe what you're doing is a bit on the outside or whatever it is. But I've always studied those people that were successful in terms of relationships and spirituality and their body transformation and their health and their finances, because I like to use other people's lives as essentially a guide to say, like, they've already gone through this. They've already accumulated all this wisdom. What are they saying in their, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond? Like, what wisdom can they share with us that we can maybe use in our own lives? So, that's something that I've always, kind of looked at. And I don't look at, essentially saying, well, if we can have our food delivered and we can be, if we can just spend more time in leisure-based activities, is that a bad thing? It's not, except for the fact that it becomes a really big problem when our lives have been made easier because of technological advances, that we've lost touch with a lot of the hard things that we need to do in life. So when it's time to begin to kind of set ourselves on path to achieving our goal, well, we're just not as calloused. Right? Remember, when you lift weights, the first few weeks, you might get some blisters and cuts on your hands, but after a while, your hands are calloused. You can pick up that iron, pick up those weights, and you're not going to get those blisters because your skin's a little rougher, right? And the problem is, like, when life has become fairly, I'm not going to say it's easy, right? Because we all have stress. There's no doubt about it. We all deal with relationship and family and work stress and body stress and health stress. Like, we all deal with that. But sometimes it's not the physical part of that. Like, we've kind of lost touch with doing a lot of the harder things. And the problem is that if we're not able to start to even from a mental capacity to think about doing those harder things, then it prevents us from really taking that first step. And so what I would look at it is this: achieving what we really want in life is going to take a little bit of work. It really is. There is no way, yes, we can use technology, we can use all those things. I'll talk about that in a moment. But we have to understand is like the real work, it can't be outsourced. It can't be outsourced to a computer, a machine, an assistant, any of those things. If we want to achieve a meaningful life, we need to do meaningful things. And you might say, well, of course, right? That makes sense. But meaningful things are only meaningful because typically it took a little work to achieve them. We overcame some type of obstacle in order to get it. We overcame some type of challenge, right? Like, so a lot of the best things we look back on life are those things where we overcame obstacles and challenges, right? For me, of course, it stands out. I overcame multiple illnesses that I was told I wouldn't recover from. Did it take many years? Yes. Could it have been shortened? Yes. But would I have learned all of the things that I need to in order to be able to teach and practice how I am today? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have learned those things unless I went through that longer struggle. For me, it was worth it because it's led to where I am today. Now, my goal is, I don't think it's worth it for many people to go through that. So I try to break that down, that process, and shorten their learning curve. But I've just realized that, like, in my own life, even today, I feel like I'm living my purpose, and I'm absolutely trying to spread my message and my mission with as many people as possible. But I can't outsource the education, the research, the reading, the filming, the recording. I can't outsource those things. I need to do those things. They take time. They take a lot of hours. Sometimes the research is tedious, going through all the different actual research studies, meta-analysis, epidemiological based, reports. But I can't if I want to be able to take my education and be able to share that with others, I have to go through those steps. There's no way around it. It can't be outsourced. It can't. Now, is it easier because of technology? Absolutely. When I was sick back in the day, there wasn't the internet like it is today. So what did I do? Well, go to the library, right? Go to my university's library, go to my local city's library. I mean, that's what I did. I went into Boston too, went to the library there. And so, and I read the books. And I think that is important, right? It's important to do that work. Now, technology, though, it gives you a better place to start because you can do your initial research right online. And you can find everything you need. It's absolutely incredible. You can listen to podcasts, you can watch videos, and it's a great first step. So I'm a big believer in technology to shorten that curve for sure, but you still have to put in that real work, right? Real work leads to real results, and typically more lasting results because you overcame something, whether it's the lack of knowledge, or you overcame something in terms of your health, whatever it might be, and you put in that work in order to achieve it. The nice thing is, you also know how you got there then, right? There was no shortcut. You know what you needed to change in order for your life to change. And remember, there is no meaningful change in your life, which means you don't get new things in your life without creating meaningful change in your daily routine, your habits, your actions, your words, your relationships, your view of yourself, right? All of those things matter. So what I want to share with you now is the solution, right? So what do we do? Because we've gotten used to, and maybe a little bit soft. I mean, I think that probably applies for myself as well. You're like, all right, when you start to think about, okay, these are all the things I need to do, you become overwhelmed, right? But here's the thing. First, you need to start with this. You need to envision, right? Create a vision for your life that gets you excited. Just choose one thing for now. Create a vision for creating a better relationship with your partner, your spouse, your parents, your kids, whatever it might be. Get excited about that. Or get excited about a spiritual-based path. Or get excited about a new career. Get excited about transforming your health or your body. One of those things, right? Choose one of those things. Get excited about it. Think about what that end result will look like, right? Start to feel the feelings. Close your eyes. Start to feel the feelings by envisioning the end product already being done. You don't need to know the how yet, right? That's gonna push you away. Oh, but that'll never happen. It's never happened before. I've tried before. Put that out of your mind, right? Suspend disbelief for just a moment. What I need you to do is simply focus on the end result. Allow that to get you excited. That excitement will then lead to the how, because you'll start to do the research. You'll look for the coach, the doctor, the integrative health practitioner, the relationship mentor, the blueprint online, the formula, the workout, whatever it is. You'll be able to find it once you're excited about creating that life for yourself, because there's always a how. You just haven't found it yet. Other people have created the life that you want right now, right? Someone's already living the life that you want. So if they can do it, why can't you? Remember, there's very few things that separate one person from another. There really are. Even unique talents. It's only on this microscopic 0.00001 level that someone becomes a professional athlete or whatever it might be. That's so far removed. I'm just talking about everyday people, right? I'm not talking about becoming the next Michael Jordan or LeBron James or insert your, favorite player out there right now or athlete. And again, but here's the thing, in all seriousness, most of us are very similar. What holds a lot of people back though, is even allowing themselves to envision that powerful future for themselves. And if you can envision it first, then you can allow it to sink in and say, I want that. What comes next? Well, the next is the how. And that's actually the blueprint, the path that's going to lead you there. So once you have that, you can say, okay, well, this path, whether it be a healing-based protocol for the body, a metabolic boosting protocol, so you're not just looking at weight loss, relationship, you know that, okay, it's going to take some work. And there's probably going to be some hard work involved. And that's when then a lot of people separate out. They're like, well, I'm just not willing to do it. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the energy. I don't have the this, right? Insert the excuse. And again, we all have really good excuses. There's no doubt about that, right? There were times when I didn't have the money. There were times when I didn't have the time. There were times all of those things. But it takes away from the fact that you are able to do something, right? So we know that we can do something. So don't focus on what you can't do, focus on what you can do. Now, again, that's going to require work, but here's the great thing. the reason why you're going to be able to achieve your dream life, your best life, the life that you've envisioned for yourself, is because you are going to say, if I am to achieve this, I need to do the work. Because here's the thing, it doesn't happen without the work, which is why so many people, as they say, lead these lives of quiet desperation. What does that mean? It's not my quote, but what does that mean? It means this, that many people, another great quote, many people die with their music still inside of them, and we don't want that. We want you to fully express your music, what you were called here to do, or to at least live a life that you enjoy, right? That hopefully you can share some of your unique talents, your passions with others. So we know that's going to take a little bit of work. We know that some of that's going to be hard work, but that's what's going to separate you from your current you and many other people in your life. Don't be afraid. I'm going to keep using these cliches and these quotes. Don't be afraid to march to the beat of your own drummer. Just because other people aren't doing this doesn't mean that you can't. I would say that whenever you're part of the majority, it's time to start looking at your life. Like, what do we need to question? Everybody pretty much does this. Well, I would say that the majority of the people aren't where they want to be in life. Look at those outliers. Look at what they're doing. Oh, they wake up, they have a routine, they follow a routine. It's regimented. They're doing one little thing every single day that's going to move them towards their goals. And the more hard things that you accomplish, remember this is a huge one. The more hard things that you accomplish, like the more tasks that you take on that just ordinarily you wouldn't do, right? They're extraordinary tasks. They're not part of the daily routine. You're saying, okay, I'm going to go for the certification. I'm going to learn more. I'm going to work on my relationship. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more days than not, right? Those are not normal things, but the more hard things that you accomplish, well, it gets so much easier then to do the next task. And those tasks, those obstacles, those challenges that you once saw that seemed absolutely impossible, you now say, oh, wow, well, if I accomplish that, maybe I can accomplish this. But you need to start with where you're at right now. Right? Where you're at right now is the best place to get started. I know that you want to be light years ahead, but that's okay, right? That's okay. That's part of your vision. And you can't get there without starting realistically with where you're at right now. So start with the book, hiring the coach, starting with the protocol. Whatever needs to be done, it's going to lead you to that next step. And I want to share one more thing with you today. Beautiful quote by Dan Brown. And it says this, everything is possible, right? Everything is possible. The impossible just takes a little longer. Thank you so much for joining me here today on this Motivation and Mindset Monday. Always a pleasure speaking with you to start the week. Hopefully this podcast was helpful. And of course, if it was, please do feel free to share this show with anyone you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or a lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.